What's up guys, it's Criddle here from the AnimeBallZ team with another This Is. This time on This Is a high school series that is not really a slice of life. It starts out slice of life-ish in a way and then escalates quickly from there. It's Medaka Box.
Off the tracks.
So Medaka Box follows the story of Kurakami Medaka, who, well, is the main character and the titular character of this series, emphasis on the titular part. Basically, she is the girl that became the high school president. She got 99% of the votes to become school president in her first year of school. She has this way about her. She is very, very skilled in anything she does, and she has this warped sense of reality where she knows that she's better than everyone else, and she expects the best out of everyone at all times. For her entire life, only one person has managed to keep up with her, and that is Zenkichi, who is just a regular high school student, bit of a delinquent going back. He's got his hair dyed blonde. Well, I think it's actually naturally that colour. I cannot remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there's some flashback stuff where he has got brown or black hair, but as a general rule, he does have blonde hair with dark bits underneath. His mum has the same colour hair as him, so that's why I say maybe it's a natural hair colour. Who knows? Anyway, when Medaka becomes president, she decides to keep one of her election promises alive, which is the Medaka Box, or the suggestion box, which essentially is where people can put requests or ideas or anything that they need. If they need help at any point in time, 24/7, 365 days of the year, they put a thing in the box and Medaka will complete whatever task is required. And because she has the utmost faith in pretty much everyone in the world, she will do whatever task is put in front of her, regardless of how stupid and inane that task is. Along the way, and the first thing that Medaka really needs to do is to amass her student council. So in order to do that, she obviously recruits Zenkichi, who initially is kind of reluctant to join. He doesn't want to get involved in one of Medaka's massive schemes, and reluctantly says, eventually reluctantly joins her council. Along the way, they also introduce Akane and Kikajima, who both join the council and, come along for the ride, but they're still missing a vice president. Who's it going to be? Only one way to find out. Watch Medaka Box and you'll see. Now, I mentioned that this series goes from slice of life to pretty extreme, and the biggest swap is probably between Medaka Box and Medaka Box Abnormal, which is what introduces most of the abnormals. We get introduced to Unzen in the first arc of the series, and he's shown to have abnormal skills and very, very skilled in a battle. Medaka is also very skilled in fights, and Zenkichi to a point. The abnormals that come into it adds this whole extra battle level that wasn't in the first few chapters of the manga and the first subsequent episodes of the anime, and everything just starts to snowball very, very drastically from there, and it escalates very, very quickly. I know I use the term escalating quickly a lot in regards to this series, but that's what this series does. This series literally goes from one extreme to the next, and it just keeps topping itself and topping itself and topping itself and topping itself. It's absolutely fantastic, phenomenal, and you get hooked in with what these characters are capable of doing. Speaking of the characters themselves, let's look at the voice actors behind those characters as we look at
The good, the bad, and the dubbers.
So Medaka is voiced by Shelley Callahan Black, who is the voice of Khalifa from One Piece, Cleo from Orphan, and Matabe Goto from Samurai Girls. Zenkichi is voiced by Andrew Love, who is the voice of Taira from Batum, Sentaro from Kids on the Slope, and Mr. Five from One Piece. Akane is voiced by Tyler Galindo, who is Sakamoto from Batum, and Billy from Chrono Crusade. Kikajima is voiced by Maggie Fleckno, who is Hanzo Hattori from Samurai Girls, Saya from High School of the Dead, and Kimi from Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere. And the fifth character worth mentioning, who seems to have a bit of a darker backstory to her, is Shiranui, whose name is completely butchered in this dub, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Shiranui is voiced by Hilary Haag, who is the voice of Nene from Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, Mary from Dream Eater Mary, and Yukimura from Samurai Girls. Now, this series had an interesting dub in that this is the first time I'm probably going to say anything negative about a dub of a show. And it's not about the voice actors chosen, though Andrew Love as Zenkichi was something I had to get used to, because for anyone who knows him as Taira or Sentaro, would know that he's got a very deep voice register, which with Zenkichi you expect having read the manga, Zenkichi to have a much higher pitch, to be more closer to Kon from Bleach than he is to Taira from Batum. So you expect something a bit more high pitched like this than, my name's Zenkichi and I'm a friend of Medaka's. You don't expect that, but it was something I got used to. The other problem I had with the dub, and probably the most scathing problem I had with the dub, was the pronunciation of Shiranui's name. I nearly pronounced it the way the dub does it. The dub pronounces her name as Shiranui, which is completely wrong. It's Shiranui. That's how it's pronounced. It's not Shiranui. It's honestly just bad direction, but overall the series does do well. It's just those pronunciation of those Japanese names that really annoys me in a way, I guess. I like stuff to stay relatively faithful to the original, and names are the most basic thing. You'd only need to watch 1 or 2 episodes. You wouldn't even need to watch 2 episodes. Shiranui is in the first 5 minutes of the first episode. So you'd get a sense of how to pronounce her name from that. But enough about that. This has been Medaka Box. I give this series a 7 out of 9 Straw Hats. The dubbing does sort of let it down a bit, but also the fact that this series only gets 26 episodes and only gets into the start of the abnormal stuff. We don't really get into the minuses, we don't get into the other, the sort of the vocal abilities that come in towards the end of the series, and we don't get into the second student council arc either, or any of those battle arcs that Zenkichi is more a part of than Medaka, and there's a bit of a to and fro between Medaka and Zenkichi in this series, and it's good to see that sort of, that flow between the two of them. So yeah, this is Medaka Box. I'm Criddle. Catch you on the flip side.